Yes and no. Sometimes, traumas can be what we call the unimaginables, so severe, so devastating that a person has no interest in trying to heal it. It's just too painful and too overwhelming. Mostly I think we can know, given the right support, in the right environment and the right amount of time. Not that time does anything, but we do need to have time to learn how to process what might have happened to us. I've worked with people in some of the most, severe traumas. In our culture, in America, where I'm working, I hear a lot about child abuse and physical abuse, all kinds of violence. But I also work with people from other cultures that are just as horrific. People who were born in a time of a war, which obviously happened in America also, but whose cultures may have been taking them to whippings or beatings as part of an initiation into that culture. So all kinds of trauma, and I see people come through it, and that's really the only way I can do what I do, to sit day after day with people in profound suffering and to not see any kind of movement would maybe be a little bit overwhelming, for my own being. But I see this profound shift in people that happens sometimes quite dramatically and sometimes more slow over time, that really brings great joy into my being in doing this work. But I also really feel and know that, and I don't say this lightly at all, it's just coming up right now, so I'm going with it, that when I'm sitting working with someone and I'm listening to such profound suffering, I go there with them. I'm not afraid to feel and be part of what they're sharing, and I think that's one of the most important parts of healing trauma, is to not feel like you have to feel it all yourself. Because that's what happened originally, in childhood or as a teenager or whenever these original events happened. It felt so alone, so terrifying, and it can be too much to go back there by oneself. So if somebody's working with a therapist, and they have really profound, early, horrifying trauma, it would be very useful, healing, to work with somebody who can either navigate those places because they've gone there themselves, or, not everybody will have been able to go there themselves because it just didn't happen, or someone who can drop into those places of terror and rage and fear, and not have their own material be triggered, that we can stay very calm in a field, I say field of compassion, and the compassion really always holds what's happening in a room, in this intersubjective space between two people. And that's kind of what the healing space.